Good evening, welcome back. It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Bethany Elsey with the latest headlines from the GB Newsroom. The leaders of the United States and the European Union have reached what they've described as a huge transatlantic trade deal.
I think it's great that we made a deal today instead of playing games and maybe not making a deal at all. I think it's, I'm going to let you say, but I think it's the biggest deal ever made. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Chief Ursula von der Leyen said the deal will bring stability while announcing a 15% tariffs across the board. President Donald Trump revealed the EU is set to make $600 billion in US investments. The EU will also buy $150 billion in US energy. Aid has been airdropped into Gaza for the first time in months, with Jordan and the United Arab Emirates providing 25 tons of aid between them. It comes amid growing international concern over the plight of the population. Thousands of Palestinians are at risk of malnutrition, with 85 children among those who've starved to death since the start of the conflict. This morning, Israel's military agreed to pause fighting and open humanitarian corridors to allow UN convoys carrying aid to enter. Hundreds of protesters have gathered outside a hotel housing migrants in Essex. It's after an asylum seeker was charged with allegedly attempting to kiss a 14-year-old girl. Police have issued a dispersal order, which will remain in place until 8 p.m. tomorrow. They also have powers to remove anyone suspected of antisocial behaviour. Stand Up to Racism counter-terrorism protesters have also been out in force today. They've marched from Epping train station to the hotel, chanting "Refugees are welcome here." Both groups are being kept separated by fences. Wildfires are raging across several countries in southeast Europe, fuelled by dry conditions, high winds and extremely hot temperatures. Around 150 fires have broken out across Greece, Turkey, Bulgaria and Albania, with thousands of people forced to evacuate their homes. Forests have been scorched and homes burnt to the ground. A politician in Turkey has described the fires in the city of Bursa as an apocalypse. And it's ones each between England and Spain in the Women's Euros final in Switzerland as the game has gone into extra time. Spain took the lead in the first half, but England came back soon into the second. The Lionesses are hoping to retain their title after first winning the tournament back in 2022. More than 87,000 people have filled St Jakob Park in Switzerland. We'll keep you up to date on the scores here on GB News. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's time for Free Speech Nation.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Good evening. This is Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howie. On the show tonight, a man is arrested for holding a cartoon from Private Eye at a protest. Kelly J. Keane joins me live in the studio. Some of our fans right here to discuss a trans allyship scheme that looks like a safeguarding red flag. And an influencer who took a trip to Israel was referred to anti-radicalisation police. And as anti-migrant riots continue to break out across the UK, we look at the government's plans for an elite team of police officers to monitor your social media posts. And we've got some comedians answering some crazy culture developments from our live studio audience. This is Free Speech Nation. Well, before all of that, just moments ago, was the dramatic moment that Donald Trump and Ursula von der Leyen returned to the media to announce a huge trade deal. Someone who was there in the room was GB News presenter Bev Turner. We're going to go to her right now. Hello, Bev.
Hi, Josh. Hi. Yeah, it was dramatic, actually. The press had been there. I'm here with the international pool. I came over on Air Force One, and we'd been in and we'd seen Trump and Ursula von der Leyen sit in this magnificent ballroom with the sea behind them through the windows and talk about the fact they were going to go and do a deal. So the atmosphere between them, he was a little grumpy. In fact, he even said, "I'm not in a great mood." And my question to him was, why? Did you have a bad game of golf? But he didn't really respond as to why he wasn't in a great mood. But I think that's partly Trump's negotiation style. aisle. He doesn't want someone to think he's sat there happy. He obviously wants his adversary to think that he's there and he's going to go in on the front foot and she's going to have to do some persuading. Well, they came out within the hour, actually. We were all waiting around the hotel thinking we may not hear anything today. We got the call very quickly, run, and literally had to pick up all of our stuff. I had to take off my high heels and run up that hill behind you with a Secret Service guy carrying my handbag, which I think was his most important job of the day. And we were whisked back into the ballroom where they were sat, and they both looked fairly happy. They had their negotiators sat with them, the teams that had been talking, and announced that they had done what, of course, it's Donald Trump. It was the biggest trade deal in history, the biggest deal in the world, 15% tariffs on Europe. So it looks like a very happy day for the EU and for America, and Donald Trump particularly was extremely pleased.
Do you think that that America might have come out best in this deal, or do you think it was a genuinely good compromise for both parties?
I think it's really hard to tell. I don't know about you, but when we're talking about trade deals and tariffs, it rather scrambles my brain, because I have to think, what will this mean for the consumer? I'm always trying to bring it back to what does it mean for the consumer? Is it going to mean cheaper goods for America? Is it going to mean cheaper goods for Europe? And that is going to be different within every different sector. But all I can tell you is they sat there and they obviously, both of them, have to appear that this is a good deal. 15% on Europe, I think that's pretty much what they wanted. That Europe is going to be buying a huge amount of energy from America. Now, of course, Donald Trump has spoken, every time I've spoken to him in the last couple of days, he's been rather preoccupied by windmills or wind turbines, and he thinks that Europe is effectively ruining the countryside, not to mention the economy, at the altar of eco-zealotry, whilst he is, of course, drilling baby drilling. So there's clearly a success there for America, because Europe is going to be buying a huge amount of energy from the States. I'm sure you would have been interested today, Josh, in the issue of free speech. I have been too. I was really keen to ask him a question about our Digital Online Safety Act and the fact that we now have a police, a Stasi as such, posting, going through posts on social media, scrolling around to find anything anti-immigrant. Wasn't appropriate actually today within that setting to ask that question, but I'm going to be having some contact hopefully with the President in the next couple of days. Keir Starmer is going to be talking to him tomorrow, and the press will be there. We'll be heading over then to Aberdeen, where he's opening another golf course, and then also hopefully a conversation with him on Tuesday before I get back on Air Force One. So the issue of free speech is paramount in my mind, and I know it is with the GB News viewers, and if I get the opportunity, I'll certainly be trying to ask him about that.
Please do. I mean, do you think that America, it seems like they keep on bringing up free speech in the UK. This is like a real focal point for Trump and for JD Vance. It's something that concerns them. Do you think that...
It was my first question to Trump on the... Yeah, I did...
Yeah. No. We're both cross speaking here. But yes, do you think that? What do you think that? Why is America so concerned about free speech within the UK?
I'm glad America is concerned about free speech within the UK, Josh. I think it underpins so much of our democracy, frankly. It was my first question to him on the runway when we landed in Prestwick on Friday afternoon. Does he have any message for our Prime Minister about the issue of free speech? And he skirted it a little bit, actually, on that occasion. But it will be at the forefront of this administration's mind. These guys, as you say, JD Vance has brought this up with our Prime Minister before, if you remember, in the Oval Office. And Keir Starmer came out swinging and said, we've had a long and proud tradition of free speech in the UK. Well, not anymore, particularly not with this Digital Safety Act, which has really ramped up in literally the last 72, 48 hours in the UK. What I would like to put to Donald Trump is the fact that there are now powers, Ofcom powers, state powers within the UK to clamp down on posts that might be on Truth Social, on his own social media platform. And does he think that is okay? Because I think a lot of the British public are basically waking up today to what this will mean for people. If it might not be lawful, but maybe it doesn't fit the mood of the day, then those are the kind of posts that could literally get a knock on the door.
OK, brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Bev Turner. And I'll say, just behind you, I think I saw a Secret Service man wearing your high heels, if you want to go get them. Thank you. So, we're joined now in the studio by Ben Leo. Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Ben, you were up there yesterday. You were with the Trump supporters. Trump supporters.
Trump haters.
Trump haters.
The Trump derangement syndrome patients. Yeah, I went up for... It was meant to be an anti-Trump protest. They were protesting his visit to Scotland, which is fine, perfectly within your rights. But as I described yesterday on my show, it turned into a mega-mix protest of rabid left-wingers. So we had climate change, we had trans protests going on, then we morphed into a Palestine protest. Very interesting. And at one point, the lead Palestine protester got on the mic. It was a crowd of about 2,000 people, and they'd clocked that I was there, literally asking questions. I wasn't debating. I wasn't trying to provoke anybody. I was just saying, oh, yeah, why is Trump racist? Why does your sign mean that? What's this about? And she got on the mic and she rallied the whole crowd. I mean, I think it's probably borderline incitement, but the whole crowd turned on me. They were booing. She was saying, GB News, Ben Leo, go home. This clip I'm about to show you now, this was us trying to, after about 2 hours, leave the venue outside the US consulate in Edinburgh. And we had one last skirmish with a couple of protesters. It's very interesting, the concept of free speech, because they were shouting expletives, as you'll see. They didn't want to engage, and also it got into a bit of censorship as well. But here's the clip. Take a look. Let's have a chat. Let's have a conversation.
No, you're talking.
So what have I done that's racist? And also the censorship. So why do you do that? Why do you try and censor debate and open discussion?
You'd know about that, wouldn't you? Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm here trying to have a conversation with you guys,
right.
but you're
Have a
covering
conversation.
cameras.
Have a
Yeah.
conversation.
So, where has he gone? What have I said that's racist?
What were you just saying there?
What did I say?
What were you just saying there? You were talking about that this demonstration is supposed to be peaceful.
Yeah.
Was it not
is.
peaceful?
Well, there was a chant of death, death to the IDF, which Police Scotland are looking into now. Somebody else was calling me. Somebody else said that I deserved to have
I called
smack.
you.
Yeah, well, that's not very peaceful, is it?
No.
So there we go. That guy was saying, hang on a minute, why are you saying this isn't a peaceful demonstration? And I said, well, first of all, death, death to the IDF. Somebody, I think they got arrested, didn't they, for saying that the other week. Somebody else called me the A word, and then he called me the T word.
Yeah.
So there we go. I mean, it just proves in a 20-second clip how they are everything they claim to be against. They claim that we are hateful, that we are racist and bigoted and whatever else. The truth is, they are the projectors of such things.
Of course not, yes. There it is, yeah. Hypocrisy. They're there for free speech and they want to be able to protest, and they were there to protest and unmolested.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, you were not allowed to ask them questions without being molested.
But of course, yeah, that's how it works. It's a two-tier processing, another one. And I went down to Epping today for the Bell Hotel protest as well. So, of course, there's been protests over the past couple of weeks off the back of that migrant who's been arrested and charged to do with a sexual assault on a young girl. I went down there today. I went into the Stand Up to Racism pen, that's the one, there's so many of them, and tried to speak to some of the counter-protesters there. And I was directed to speak to one of the organisers, and this is what happened. How did it come into your consciousness, your awareness, this situation?
So I was just on TikTok one day. I see that Reform UK was holding a branch meeting in my area for Brentwood Ongar. This was 3 weeks before the general election last year. I went to the branch meeting. I told them that I was given a detention for wearing a Reform badge in school, and they was like, "Oh my God, that's terrible." And then I just sort of started getting into with Reform UK with Jamie McIver, local councillor for Epping Forest. And ever since then, I've just got into this. And I just think it's great that young kids have a chance to get into politics. And I think the more should 100% get into it, 'cause it's a very interesting thing.
Yeah. Sorry, that was the wrong clip. This was a young lad called Reggie. He was 15 years old. He went down to that protest today with his mother, and he explained during our conversation, which I found interesting, he was given detention at school for wearing a Reform badge in class, despite all his classmates wearing Pride badges, Palestine badges, but he wore Reform, refused to take it off, and he got sent to the sin bin.
Wow, that's insane. I mean, this just shows how this ideological stuff starts, obviously, within the schools. Bev mentioned the story that's out today about the elite social media police force out there to monitor the tweets and posts over the summer. Do you think that that's going to have an impact on the right to protest?
I think we've already seen it. We've seen with the online safety bill now enforced. Of course, porn sites have been blocked, but off the back of that, the very first night the bill came into force 2 nights ago, they were banning the viewing of Epping protests and Leeds protest videos. People were on X, on Twitter, trying to watch videos of migrant hotel protests, perfectly fine, and they were blocked, saying the UK government thinks this is harmful content. So who decides what's harmful content or not?
Well, listen, I mean, we've been talking about the online safety bill for years now. We were always promised that, no, there wasn't going to be this governmental overreach.
Yeah.
Yet, from day one, suddenly people don't have the same access to information that they had the day before. On top of that, we now have, like I said, this elite police squad monitoring. I mean, this is very dangerous stuff.
I mean, it's awful. It's draconian, it's Orwellian, it's Chinese CCP-style Orwellian thought police. I mean, just go back to the start of COVID in 2020, 2021. The government had the very same kind of unit. They called it the nudge unit. That if you dared suggest that the COVID virus may have come from Wuhan, where there was a laboratory, I mean, use your common sense, you were exiled from social media, you were called a conspiracy theorist, probably would have lost your job. If you said that vaccines, in some cases, caused damage and they were harmful to people, you were exercised to the depths of hell. And it was the government's own nudge units patrolling those forums, those social media sites, creating dossiers of people such as Adam Brooks, such prominent journalists. And we're seeing it again now. So take COVID, replace it with migrant concerns, and you've got the same thing.
Yeah, worrying stuff. Well, look...
And by the way, Josh, just to add to that, look what happened off the back of COVID. 4 or 5 years later, everybody who was on those lists saying, oh, hang on a minute, something's not quite right here, a bit concerned about vaccines, they were all proven right years later. They were all proven right. So in 4 or 5 years' time, when the migrant situation gets a lot worse than it will be now, and society...
It's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse. I know all the people now who are concerned and raising their voices, the mums, the dads who are concerned about the safety of their children, in 4 or 5 years' time, people will turn around to them and say, oh, yeah, you were right after all.
Well, it seems like I think some people would argue that they were right today. We're going to go to a break in a second. Obviously, your show is going to be back later. You're going to be showing some footage, I imagine more footage from Epping today. Also, I think you were saying that you were going to tell your audience how to bypass these draconian rules to go on VPN so you can watch pornography. And social media. Anyway, thank you very much, Ben Leah.
Thanks, Josh.
We have got lots to come on the show tonight. Come back in a couple of minutes for our debate. See you in 2 minutes.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howie. Now, a retired teacher was arrested under terrorism laws for holding up a private eye cartoon at a protest in Leeds. 67-year-old John Farley was bundled away by the officers and handcuffed for displaying a satirical sign mocking the government's ban on Palestine action, taken directly from the High Street magazine. He was detained, grilled by counter-terrorism police and banned from protest. Private Eye editor Ian Hislop called the arrest mind-boggling and said the police don't seem to do nuance. But should someone have been arrested for holding this cartoon during a protest? Joining me now to debate this is the Director of Investigations and Enforcement from Campaign Against Anti-Semitism, Stephen Silverman, and External Affairs Officer from Free Speech Union, Connie Shaw. Welcome. So this is a slightly tricky one, someone might argue. I mean, I'm assuming, being from the Free Speech Union, you think, Connie, that this is massive government overreach.
Yes, so we have offered support to John if he would like to pursue an official apology from West Yorkshire Police, because we believe it's a wrongful arrest. I mean, even under the current law, I really do not think that he was actually expressing any support for Palestine action. I think that you can hold that meme that was published by the Private Eye and still say that you disagree with their actions. I think both are consistent together. So, you know, if the police are sort of interpreting satire as terrorism, that is a very dangerous situation that we find ourselves in when they're really not taking any sort of consideration towards Article 10 rights.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen, it seems obvious to me there's a difference between holding a sign up saying, I support Palestine action, that's a separate debate, we can talk about that as well, and holding up what's obviously a satirical cartoon.
Well, look, what Private Eye did was satire. What this guy did, and it's what a lot of different people are doing in different ways, is trying to game the system and indicate support for Palestine action without actually saying, I support Palestine action. For example, there's been another example of someone who went to a demonstration carrying a sign that says, I support Palestine, action must be taken. So the bottom line is, whether or not you agree with the prescription, whether or not you agree with the law, there are ways of campaigning to change laws you don't agree with. But you can't pick and choose which laws you're going to obey. That way lies anarchy, and it's a threat to our entire democracy. So, yes, I mean, it was right to enforce the law on this occasion.
But you don't see that there is also this threat to our democracy from arresting somebody, even though, yes, of course, they are using this loophole, but that's where when lines get crossed, unfortunately.
It's a mess, and the reason it's a mess is because of the dual standards being applied by the police over the last 22 months since the 7th of October. They have closed their eyes to many expressions of extremism, support for terrorist organisations, and it's got to the point where suddenly you have an organisation that attacks our defence infrastructure, and they decide, OK, this is the line. This is where we draw the line in the sand. And having prescribed them, they can't then turn a blind eye. They will just look stupid.
Well, Connie, it is prescribed now. What we've also seen over the last few days is the police actually deliberately not arresting people who are holding very unambiguous signs of support, saying, I support Palestine action. What do you think about that? The law is the law. Should they be arrested?
Well, personally, I don't think that the prescription of Palestine action should extend in the same way that other terrorist organisations, as they are prescribed, such as ISIS and Al-Qaeda. I think it is a massive stretch to say that Palestine action is in the same category as those types. And I think it is ridiculous that someone could face up to 14 years for saying that they support Palestine action. However, I think that Stephen's point about people making it quite clear what they're saying, but also they're not exactly saying it, that's surely their own way of like you say, they found a loophole, but surely the answer to that is, well, if you think that should be arrestable offence, then the legislation needs to be updated, not those people, the police need to be reading in between the lines and, we know what you really mean by that statement, because that's a very slippery slope as well. So I think that people should be able to go, if the loopholes exist, then that's the legislation's fault. And people should be able to do that, I think.
Yeah. I mean, and also going back to something that Connie was saying earlier, that you've seen obviously this image. It seems clear to me it's not even necessarily direct support. I know that he may have been finding this loophole, but I would argue that I don't see really it explicitly saying, there it is on the telly, but that it actually supports Palestine action at all. The other element of it is that it's saying that it seems to be like sort of using irony to point out that shooting Palestinians queuing for food is somehow acceptable. But what this thing doesn't say, and I have to call Private Eye up on this, and this person who's holding this up, is that there's no evidence of that the people shooting haven't been Hamas in this case. So it fails even to be a satire in the way that it's meant to be.
Well, I mean, they have form. I think it was only about 10 days after the 7th of October where they published another hilarious, I think it was a cover page, which pointed out to Israel that killing all the people in Gaza isn't a long-term solution to the problems of the region. And, that was just 10 days after that atrocity had been committed. It is so easy to moralise, isn't it, about something that's happening 1,000 miles away. And journalists admit they don't even actually know what's going on. What would be so much more impressive was if Private Eye turned its eye on what's going on in this country, where we've got extremism running riot, we've got anti-Semitism worsening every day. They should be helping to fix this country, not moralising about something where there isn't a clear narrative anyway.
OK, well, I totally can see that point. Final thing I'd like to say, Connie, is we had Ian Hislop this week speaking up about it. There is this sort of irony now that he's coming out advocating for free speech, but suddenly when it's against what he thinks is a worthwhile thing to protect. Yes, and it was very similar when Bob Vylan spouted off on the stage at Glastonbury. These people turn into free speech warriors when it's their side, and that's why, if you're a free speech campaign, you have to remain very consistent. You can't have free speech for one side and not the other, and it's a price worth paying that some people will say things that you find very unpleasant. But you need to allow those things to be said for everyone else that you agree with to be able to say what they want to say as well. Fair enough. Let's get another round of applause. Everybody's clapping, everybody. There we go. Well, look, West Yorkshire Police said, we are sorry that the man involved is unhappy with the circumstances of his arrest. As this is a new prescribed organisation, West Yorkshire Police is considering any individual or organisation learning from this incident. So next on Free Speech Nation, we have our audience questions, where we'll run through the most eye-catching stories of the week, including a highly offensive word beginning with F, but it's not what you think. Find out more after the break, but a big round of applause for our two guests this evening. Thank you very much.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're holidaying across Europe at the moment, conditions are quite varied depending on where you're going. For Iberia, it's fine and settled with some warm sunshine. There were a few showers across parts of the Pyrenees. Some heavier showers and thunderstorms developing around the Alps and down through the Balkan regions as well. The heat wave that we've had across the eastern Mediterranean recently is beginning to ease, and so it's a touch fresher for Greece now, but parts of Turkey could hold on to the heat until later on next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. So Monday is looking a good deal brighter and warmer for many of us. There will still be a few showers around, but many of us will stay dry. And it's all courtesy of this large area of high pressure, the Azores high, ridging towards the UK on Monday. It doesn't last too long though. This frontal system will bring some rain once again by Tuesday. Back to Sunday evening though, and most of the showers are fading away, though some will continue overnight, particularly across the north and the west of Scotland, and some also moving into parts of northwest England on that northwesterly wind. Out towards the east and the south though, the best of the clear skies here, so temperatures in the countryside falling into the high single figures in places, and a bit cooler for many compared to recent nights. It does mean, though, underneath those clearer skies, it will be a much sunnier start to the day compared to Sunday across the east and the south of England in particular. So temperatures quite quickly lifting in that strong July sunshine. A fine day for most of England and Wales, just one or two isolated showers. A few more in the way of showers through the morning across northern or western parts of Scotland. And here, there is still a bit of a breeze coming in from the Atlantic, so a little bit cooler here. But as we go through the course of the day, cloud amounts will vary. Sunshine will come and go, but there will generally be a lot of dry weather on offer on Monday. A scattering of showers developing across England and Wales, but these mostly light and many places will stay dry. And generally in the best of the sunshine, we could even see temperatures reaching highs of 24 or 25 Celsius across the south and the east, but certainly a warmer day nationwide and 18 to 20 degrees quite widely in the north of the UK too. For Tuesday, a cloudy and damp picture for many. Outbreaks of rain pushing northwest to southeast across the UK. A lot of low cloud, misty, murky conditions around the coast and over the higher ground. Some heavier showers developing perhaps later too. But generally an unsettled week to come. A mixture of sunshine and showers for many of us. But certainly those temperatures on the rise and feeling very warm and humid at times.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howie. My comedian guests this evening are Intel Lady, aka Jen, and Steve N. Allen. Welcome. Jen's first time on the show.
Yep, first
Some
time.
people might recognise. We normally have a red wig, and you're performing a character.
I'm usually in a wig.
Wig, yes. Doing. You've got different characters, but Angela Rayner's probably the one that people most likely might have seen on social media. It all
that wasn't
comes
actually Angela Rayner. Oh.
Anyway, welcome to the show. So we're going to get some questions now from our audience. Our first question is from Ryan.
Hi all. Should Jews be allowed to perform comedy?
Should Jews be able to perform comedy? Ryan, what do you say?
They should try it.
Yeah, well, this is... Jewish comedians Rachel Krieger and Philip Simon have had their Edinburgh shows cancelled because of staff safety concerns. This is a slightly insane story that has come out this week. Ryan, did you see it in the press?
Yeah, it beggars belief that apparently one of the comedians, their only crime was to support and go to the October 7th vigil, which any sane person would do. So the fact that they're being banned for these reasons, it's beyond crazy.
Yeah, and I believe there's been some developments, Steve, where now Philip Simon's other show, which is a solo show, has also that venue has also pulled it for supposed sort of wrong think because he thinks that the hostages should be released and there should be peace in the Middle East.
All this worry about safety, and he's got one show left up there, which is a kids show. They're not worried about the safety at the kids show, but the other shows, that's the one they're worried about.
Unfortunately, that show is called Jew, Little Jew, Zionist. So you might be in trouble.
It could be, yeah. It is ridiculous, you're right. I mean, the number of times we've been sat here saying, like, a comedian shouldn't be cancelled for X, Y and Z. The Dave Chappelle jokes, the Jerry Sadowitz story a couple of years ago now. Same deal. A comedy show shouldn't be cancelled because it's a comedy show. And what really bothers me about this is that we start to talk about not feeling safe. The bar staff don't feel safe. So now we're in this... I'm a grumpy old man, but now I'm going to complain about the Victim Olympics of feeling. Oh, so it's not about facts or objective, observable things. If you feel a certain way, you win. You're the biggest victim. And safety is kind of a nebulous, intangible thing that can only be measured after the effect. So now if you say you don't feel safe, you suddenly win. We're making all of our decisions based on the biggest feelings rather than the best thoughts about something. It seems ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, Jen, you haven't done Edinburgh yet, I don't think, but would something like this scare you in that if you're going to go up and perform a show with kind of wrong think that might actually criticise Labour, that they're going to sort of, you're going to spend all this money, you're going to write this show, and then a couple of weeks before they're going to call you up and say, actually, we feel unsafe because we think Angela Rayner's actually great?
It's ridiculous. I mean, it's comedy. It's so ridiculous. But I didn't realise that Edinburgh had a bit of a theme this year.
Which is no Jews.
1930s. So I think they're probably going to do the sort of opener with, like, just smashing all of the shop windows and maybe, you know, daubing some swastikas everywhere and maybe a goose stepping to end the Edinburgh Festival. It's just, it's so ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it is ridiculous, but Steve, it's kind of, it's scary for what it says about the future of comedy in this country. I mean, first of all, it's arguably just out-and-out racism.
Yeah.
Jews being cancelled for being Jews. But larger than that, if the comedy industry doesn't come out specifically to combat this, then it's, yeah, as they say, it's Jews 1 year, and who's it going to be the next year?
And this is why free speech is important, because you might not care about it on this issue. I know you mentioned in the last section about that with Ian Islop, but the general theory has to be the moments when people are saying the things you disagree with, that's when you fight, because at some point in the future, it'll be you being silenced, and you need someone on your team to be like, no, you're allowed to say a thing and then disagree with it. I mean, I don't think any of these shows we're talking about would have been upsetting content, but even if it was, argue against it after the event rather than getting it cancelled.
Well, of course, I mean, that's the irony, is that it's not even about the content of these shows. One was called Jew-orama, and it's a compilation show of Jewish comics coming up and doing 5-10 minutes. Yeah. Another show was about being a Jewish mother. This is not stuff about Israel. It's just because they're Jews.
But even if it was, again, should be allowed.
No, of course, even if it was. But there's an hypocrisy here from comics where supposedly the most anti-racist people in society. Yeah. And yet, when there's actual racism on their doorstep, within their doorstep, in their home, suddenly, oh, what are you going to do about it now? And I haven't seen anyone really take any actions yet to do anything about it. I've seen a few comments online calling it out, but no one is actually standing up to say, wait a minute, this affects all of us.
And isn't Edinburgh supposed to be, the Edinburgh Festival is supposed to be about celebrating cultural diversity? I mean, is it just selective cultural diversity, perhaps? It just seems, you know, it's the current trend to hate on Jews, I suppose.
Well, it is the current trend to hate on Jews, but actually
it's been a trend for a while.
Yeah, right. It's making
retro.
It's a comeback. It's cyclical. But, I mean, this is actually a lead-on from Sadowitz a couple of years ago. Sadowitz got cancelled. The comedy industry were cowards at the time, didn't call it out, didn't protest it, didn't protest the venue. And again, it was just because a bunch of the staff were feeling unsafe because he got his willy out. And now here we are. And Philip Simon, I believe, keeps his willy in the whole time.
Oh, you imagine so. I don't know what Rachel does, but I presume there's no willy involved there. I mean, in some ways, it's a compliment to your willy that it might make people all the way at the back of the room feel unsafe. Because Mine couldn't reach, I think, is what I'm implying with that. That's just sad but true. Cold venues. But no, yeah, this is because they should have been fighting then, even though they might not have liked the content of the show, but that was the moment to go, oh, the big step back from the detail. I don't like the idea of a show being cancelled because some bar staff don't like it, because then they've got all the power. It's whoever's the biggest victim gets all the power. If you can say, oh, I'm upset, the loudest, then you get to shut down venues, you get to shut down shows.
Yeah, it's. I just find it sort of baffling how we've somehow got to this point, and how the people who work for these venues somehow feel that this is acceptable. There's an irony here as well, and you might not know them. So when I'm talking to you like it's like I'm saying a question, actually I'm just talking for the sake of talking. But these two comics are not massively outspoken in terms of being incredible. You know, they want peace, but they're not two people who are talking about this necessarily.
They're doing comedy because they're professionals, and that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand me being cancelled, but
after they read the reviews.
Yeah, exactly. So, would you go up just to visit, to see what's going on up here?
Sure. I mean, yeah, but.
What's your impression being as someone new to the circuit? Have you yourself received criticism from comics from talking about politics in a way that they might not like?
Not from other comics. No, I mean, obviously.
Just wait.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, it's coming, of course. I'm covering what I'm covering at the moment politically because that is who we have in government. Previous to that, I covered Nadine Dorries, and, you know, no one got upset when I did that. So I don't know, it seems... You can't be selective about your outrage, especially when it comes to entertainment. Just, you know, pick and choose, but don't cancel somebody because of... I mean, it just seems for Edinburgh to cancel them for that reason is just...
Yeah, it's.
Wow.
I think we've crossed a Rubicon, frankly, on this particular thing, and comics not taking a stand are just absolutely going to condemn themselves, and it's so insanely frustrating.
In the same way, we should be sitting here, if there were some people being cancelled for having a show called, like, Hamasa Ding Dong or something, we should be defending that and pitching that as an idea. There's a venue where there's a slot available, in case you want to go and do it.
Hamasa Ding Dong, I don't know who books it, but I'm available! Next on Free Speech Nation, I'll be joined in the studio by Kelly J. Keane to discuss, there we go, a new scheme that sees strange adults escorting vulnerable children to the toilet. What could possibly go wrong? See you in 2 minutes.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, you say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howie. Now, a BBC children's presenter sparked outrage over a new scheme promoting trans ally badges in schools. Dr. Ronks Ikarara, who describes themselves as a black, queer, trans-masculine, non-binary doctor, wants badge wearers to escort transgender pupils to their preferred toilets, a move critics say is a safeguarding catastrophe. Campaigners warn the scheme encourages children to trust adult strangers in sensitive spaces. The badges come in response to Supreme Court ruling confirming biological sex, not gender identity, determines access to single-sex facilities. Joining me now is women's rights activist Kelly J. Keane. Kelly J, I've heard of some pretty mental stories over the last 10 years. This is way up there. A badge saying "safe with me," and so you can take for children to take adults, strangers to the toilet.
Safeguarding issues on the BBC. What are you talking about? Well, you know, I'm assured that Jimmy Savile is celebrating from beyond the grave on this particular issue. Like. It's not just that it's the most terrible badge. I think David Tennant wore that badge, you know, "You're safe with me." But the idea that just random adults would take children to the toilets, can you imagine who those random adults are wearing the badge? They'd be like... I'll take you to the toilet. It's insane. And for a BBC presenter, I mean, she should lose her job, and the BBC should have come out by now and said, absolutely atrocious. We don't support any of this. It's, you know, it's very dangerous. That's what it is. It's very dangerous.
It is dangerous, and I think the badges are also, like, given out in school, like, they raised a bunch of money. So I think it's like... As I read it, it was that the children wear these Safe With Me badges, and the children, it's to show allyship to trans people. So they'll say, like, "Safe with me to come to the toilet for a poo." I mean, it's crazy.
Well, it's difficult to articulate just how wrong it is, isn't it? This idea of boundaries. Like, I've recently looked at children across the board and young people who've been indoctrinated into this sort of cultish behaviour over the last 10 years. And the eradication of their boundaries is something that really should concern us all.
Yeah, no, it does. As you say, this person, they work for the BBC. So does that make the BBC somewhat complicit in pushing forward this ideology?
Look, it's not like they've had any scandals about children. It's not like Hugh Edwards, you know, he was there for the Queen's funeral, he announced her death. It's not like they've had any of these issues, so I'd be surprised if the BBC were complicit in eradicating the safeguarding of children, because Jim will fixed it for me, so...
I've just heard that the Lionesses, who I believe are adult human women, females, have won on penalties.
Ooh.
So there we go. GBNews breaking there. People are very excited. And it's... Oh, look, there they go. And they managed to somehow do it without any men in the team, so that's even better. This is in Box Park, Wembley, and they are kicking off. My daughter's going to be very happy about this. as well. But, of course, that means that she has missed the last 48 minutes of the show. So she will be in trouble when I get home.
She doesn't look happy, does she? That woman in blue didn't look happy at all.
No. I don't know what that guy's filming, but people are, yeah, they're very happy.
Maybe it's just disbelief.
Speaking of, actually, my daughter, not actually specifically my daughter, but there was an interesting Pew study that came out this week talking how 13 to 14-year-olds are actually more uncomfortable using pronouns than adults. And that is, I think, interesting. I've sort of seen that reflected in young people in my life, who it seems like the wheel is turning, and that certainly there's a younger generation now who just don't buy into gender ideology, which is very encouraging.
Yeah, no, it's great. I just, like, my kids, my youngest is 16, so I think they got caught. So my oldest is 23, not caught. And the next sort of 5 years after that, a little bit caught. Not my kids, obviously, because they're my kids.
I'd love it if your kids were, like, just from
imagine.
Proper gender.
Like blue hair, and like, Mum, I'm a girl.
Hey, chest feeder, make my breakfast.
So, menopause, I think it would be. So, miserable. But, yeah, I managed to catch my kids, and I knew what the school was going to be teaching, so I was very, very lucky. But then you've got this next cohort that don't know it, and then you've got the next ones that just realise the kids that call themselves non-binary are just the attention-seeking, annoying children that have always been the attention-seeking, annoying children, and I think they've just had enough. And I think maybe it's a response to the fact that teachers joined in. Like, if it was just the kids and it was just a bit fashionable and you wore Grolsch bottle tops, might be before your time, but Grolsch bottle tops because you love Bros, then that's one thing. And that if the teachers started doing it, everyone's like, Bros are rubbish, we don't want anything to do with Bros. So I think thank you to all the woke, intensely annoying teachers for helping the children see the light.
Absolutely. Well, they arguably ruined a generation, but they might have saved the next generation.
Yes. Hopefully they've ruined themselves and their careers are over. But I don't want any punishment for them. Just end of career, no money, maybe homelessness.
How magnanimous of you. I mean, because, of course, like, in the Cats report, it talked about how this is a social contagion. So the thing about social contagions, and they do come to an end naturally.
Yes.
I think you are seeing young people who are emerging on social media, those 13, 14-year-olds who are seeing those videos, and then they see them immediately for what they are. That is encouraging, I think, for humanity.
Yeah. Well, we haven't changed, have we? Like, from 2,000 years ago, we're the same people with the same emotions, and there's just slightly different things around us, and our circumstances are a little bit different, but human nature fundamentally doesn't change. So this was always going to happen, and it can't happen quick enough.
Yeah. But speaking of the ideology continuing, I know you were in a meeting this week with the midwife...
Nursing and Midwifery Council.
Midwifery. Yeah. And lanyards galore. They're still clinging on, right?
It's so... I've never seen such a big lanyard in my life. It was like a bag strap. It was so... It was a really thick, very bright trans rights lanyard, and and that was one side, and then there was a woman who I said, you know, Tracy sat opposite me, and she's just wearing a work lanyard, and I haven't thought, oh, she must be a homophobe because she's not wearing the pride lanyards. I mean, this woman was B.A. Baraka with her lanyards.
That would be the remake of the 18 that I would actually like to see.
She was like, I'm not going in no gender-neutral toilet.
Yeah.
But she...
I didn't know they then fool.
She probably was.
Yeah.
But she was wearing trans rights, pride, work lanyard. It might have been other lanyards. You couldn't see other lanyards. But I'm going to say there were other lanyards.
Yeah.
And
do you think that she was wearing them for you? Do you think
well,
I'm seeing Kelly Jay today and I'm going to get all my lanyards out and I'm going to show her with my lanyards? That'll persuade her. Hashtag no debate lanyards.
So I did say, do you wear them every day? Because I thought it was going to be especially for me. Yeah. And she said yes. And I said, why do you wear them every day? And she said, so people know that I'm inclusive. And I was like, so people know that I... So it's very much I'm such a nice person. Look, I'm such a nice person. And I did tell both of the women... well, all three of them. But I just said that is a barrier to open dialogue. Like, that's instantly a nurse coming in here asking you to protect her with code of conduct or whatever it is that she comes in here for. That is a barrier to those conversations.
It's not inclusive to people who don't believe in that ideology.
No.
I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause, please. Kelly J. King. No lanyards whatsoever. A BBC spokesman said, we're not going to comment on individuals. However, we expect anyone who works with us to follow our editorial guidelines. That's the end of the first hour on Free Speech Nation, but don't go away, because there's lots more to come between now and 9 o'clock, including the woman who was recommended to prevent for going to Israel. So we'll see about her in a couple of minutes. See you in 2 minutes. Okay.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. So Monday is looking a good deal brighter and warmer for many of us. There will still be a few showers around, but many of us will stay dry. And it's all courtesy of this large area of high pressure, the Azores high, ridging towards the UK on Monday. It doesn't last too long though. This frontal system will bring some rain once again by Tuesday. Back to Sunday evening though, and most of the showers are fading away, though some will continue overnight, particularly across the north and the west of Scotland, and some also moving into parts of northwest England on that northwesterly wind. Out towards the east and the south though, the best of the clear skies here, so temperatures in the countryside falling into the high single figures in places, and a bit cooler for many compared to recent nights. It does mean, though, underneath those clearer skies, it will be a much sunnier start to the day compared to Sunday across the east and the south of England in particular. So temperatures quite quickly lifting in that strong July sunshine. A fine day for most of England and Wales, just one or two isolated showers. A few more in the way of showers through the morning across northern and western parts of Scotland. And here, there is still a bit of a breeze coming in from the Atlantic, so a little bit cooler here. But as we go through the course of the day, cloud amounts will vary. Sunshine will come and go, but there will generally be a lot of dry weather on offer on Monday. A scattering of showers developing across England and Wales, but these mostly light and many places will stay dry. And generally in the best of sunshine, we could even see temperatures reaching highs of 24 or 25 Celsius across the south and the east, but certainly a warmer day nationwide and 18 to 20 degrees quite widely in the north of the UK too. For Tuesday, a cloudy and damp picture for many. Outbreaks of rain pushing northwest to southeast across the UK. A lot of low cloud, misty, murky conditions around the coast and over the higher ground. Some heavier showers developing perhaps later too. But generally an unsettled week to come. A mixture of sunshine and showers for many of us. But certainly those temperatures on the rise and feeling very warm and humid at times.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can win big, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? The holiday of a lifetime? Or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day.
bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howe. We've still got plenty more to come on the show, including anti-migrant riots continue to break out across the UK. We look at the government's plans for an elite team of police officers to monitor your social media posts. And I'm joined by influencer mum who took a trip to Israel and found herself referred to an anti-radicalisation police. But first, the news with Bethany Elsey.
Good evening. Your top stories from the GB newsroom, and we'll start with some breaking news. England's Lionesses have retained their European Championship title after a penalty shootout win over Spain. Ecstatic supporters were seen standing on tables, waving flags, throwing drinks in the air and excitedly hugging each other at fan zones across the country as England claimed victory. Spain took the lead in the first half, but England came back soon into the second to make it 1-1. The match went on into penalties and Chloe Kelly scored the winning spot kick after two huge saves from goalkeeper Hannah Hampton. Leaders of the United States and European Union have reached a landmark trade deal. EU chief Ursula von der Leyen said it will bring stability while announcing 15% tariffs across the board. President Donald Trump revealed the EU is set to make $600 billion in US investments. The EU is also set to buy $150 billion in US energy.
I think it's great that we made a deal today instead of playing games and maybe not making a deal at all. I think it's, I'm going to let you say, but I think it's the biggest deal ever made. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
We have a deal. We have a trade deal between the two largest economies in the world. And it's a big deal. It's a huge deal. It will bring stability. It will bring predictability. That's very important for our businesses on both sides of the Atlantic.
Aid has been airdropped into Gaza for the first time in months, with Jordan and the United Arab Emirates providing 25 tons of aid between them. It comes amid growing international concern over the plight of the population. Thousands of Palestinians are at risk of malnutrition, with 85 children among those who've starved to death since the start of the conflict. This morning, Israel's military agreed to pause fighting and open humanitarian corridors to allow UN convoys carrying aid to enter. Wildfires are raging across several countries in southeast Europe, fueled by dry conditions, high winds and extremely hot temperatures. Around 150 fires have broken out across Greece, Turkey, Bulgaria and Albania, with thousands of people forced to evacuate their homes. Forests have been scorched and houses burnt to the ground. A politician in Turkey has described the fires in the city of Bursa as an apocalypse. You're up to date. Have a very good evening.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. Me, Josh Howie, along with my comedian guest, Intel Lady and Steve N. Alan. So we're going to go to our first audience questions from Pandora.
Hi, Josh.
Hi.
Really happy to be here. My question is, why do you think that for so long the media and the newspapers are so willing to just repeat the spin of Hamas, especially in this week of all weeks? Why do you think that's so much the case?
Yeah, well, let me explain what the story is to our audience, and we'll come back to you because this is important. The investigative journalist David Collier, who's been on the show, friend of the show, has revealed the images of a Palestinian baby that have been published without an accurate explanation of his medical issues. Baby Mohammed Al-Matouk suffers from cerebral palsy, has hypoxemia, and was born with a serious genetic disorder. So that is, I'm warning you there, that's distressing images on the front page of the Express. So this image came out this week. You saw it in the press. Now, as soon as I saw it, and I follow this on social media, it was obvious to me that this is a child with underlying medical conditions. And it's horrible that this vulnerable child is being exploited in this manner. Yet this has been published as truth across the world. What did you think when you first saw these images?
I thought straight away, well, has this been doxed? It's a, kind of like
AI or
AI'd bit. But also, I remember Live Aid, and those images have, stayed in my mind. And the idea is obviously clear that there's, food shortages, but that's the fault of the UN, who have absolutely refused to work with the GHF. And if there's shortages of food, I think that lies very much at the foot of the UN in creating this current crisis. But I remember all those images of sort of, starving people. And that is not what you see. And it was obviously that was a shocking image that was designed to, carry the lie that we seem to be repeating everything that the health ministry, run by Hamas, says, and it's just it seems terrible that we want to so much, it seems, to go along with what the Hamas lies and sort of repeat them.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, this is horrible stuff. There is suffering, of course there is, in Gaza, but when we have those kind of images which are essentially falsehoods, this child is not starving because of lack of food now. This child has got a medical condition. And when that is presented as truth, that's lying to the public. That's the Express. It was on the front page of The Guardian. The Daily Mail did a big feature about this family. Shouldn't our journalists, don't they have a responsibility to tell us the truth, even if the truth is complicated?
I mean, that's exactly the thing. This is bad journalism. And journalists not caring about the fact that if you lose trust now, you lose trust in the future. So they should worry about this, but they're all, if it bleeds, it leads. That's a mantra of an industry. So some journalists who work for those kind of papers, I guess, don't have that same moral questioning that you would have. Two things can be true at the same time. It's the tattoo that I should eventually get, because it remains true here. Just because you find that picture is not true doesn't mean we've disproved anything happening. We know there's a problem with the aid distribution. The new system that has the Americans involved, some days has 4 outlets for like 2 million people. It's the first time in history the Americans have been involved in a thing and it not made people fat. So I think we need to look at that. I knew I'd get one in.
You did, yeah. That's very impressive. I mean, speaking of fat, there are these other images. I don't expect you to be as interested in this topic, but it's just following this for the last few years on social media. You see these images of fat mums, obese mums, with these children with these underlying health conditions, and this is presented as some kind of famine, and you're like, why is the mum a big fatty?
Yeah.
Sorry to body shame.
Outraged about that. Somebody, I mean, you should be more outraged about that. Surely, as a mother.
Well, that's it. It's like one of either this child has an underlying health condition, or the mother has eaten another child.
And also, aren't we supposed to be in our fact-checking era as well? There doesn't seem to be an awful lot of that going on.
Yeah.
It's just, it's all horrible, really.
All right, no, it is horrible. Let's move on to our next question. But I think it's important that we talk about it, frankly, because I'm not seeing many other channels addressing this. Our next question is from Solomon. Hey, Solomon.
Hi, good evening, Josh. My question on tonight's show is, does Sultana rhyme with Sultan in reference to the Labour Party's ongoing as such?
Yes, so does Sultana rhyme with Sultana? Yes, because this is MP Zara Sultana. She's accused the Observer cartoonist of brown-facing. I don't know if anybody saw the cartoon that they put out this week, but they did a box of Sultanas. Oh, there it is there. And this tiny little part of it, you can't really see it. But because her name is a Sultana, they've done the genius...
Explain it again.
They've done the genius thing. So the tiniest thing that you can't see there is that they've changed the woman who's normally on the front page of... yeah, there we go, on Sunmade. The accusation is they've brown-faced that, and she is terribly offended and they mocked her surname. Sultanas and Sultanas. This thing, how dare they, Steve? I mean, this is... They have crossed a line, the Observer.
It can't be the first time she's come across this pun. If this was the first time, how could you make it through school with a name like that and not be fully aware of all the raisins and current jokes that are going out there? Do you know what I mean? But in this case, this is one about offence again. Just like my earlier point about the victim Olympics that we now live in. The offence. I always like to remind everyone that offence only exists within the neurons of your brain. The rest of the observable universe is entirely unaffected by your offence. I think what we need to do is just give in on society now and just start teaching kids stoicism and just wait for 20 years and then maybe all this will go away. Because we're so obsessed with, oh no, I was offended by the smallest part of a cartoon. And don't you feel sorry for cartoonists? Now you can't draw anything without being murdered or complained about. If you're a life model who looks like Mohammed, you ain't getting work. There's so many difficult things happening at the moment.
So, Jen, is this going to stop you from browning up to do your...
I do not brown up. But would she... The thing is, would she have complained if they had not done that?
Yes, just...
Is that also offensive? If they didn't draw her exactly how she looks, would she then have complained...
You're white-facing
me. They were white-facing her. I mean, you can't win.
No, you can't win.
It was just a play on words. It's what... It's normal, but that's what publications do.
It's normal, except for the far left who will use it.
Now, everything is offensive, but I'm sure she would have taken offence if they hadn't done that. She was wanting to take offence either way.
Yes,
so, you know.
Absolutely. But do you think the Observer were right to have deleted it, or should they have stood their ground and said, come on, Sultana?
Yeah. Give us a good reason not to. That's what I was under pressure. That was something about grapes. I couldn't think of anything.
Very good. Our next question's from Sean.
OK, well, this question's quite interesting from my point of view. It says, can the right wing save the box office?
Yes, so this is Founders Films, is a new right-wing production company aimed at restoring patriotism to Hollywood. The ethos is described as say yes to projects about American exceptionalism, name America's enemies, and back artists unconditionally and take risks with novel intellectual property. So you said this relates to you?
Yeah, it's to me because I've worked in Hollywood. I've worked at Universal Studios, so I know what happens in Hollywood.
As a tour guide?
As a producer, assistant producer in Hollywood. And I'm also working...
afterwards. No, I mean...
I'm also working on a film at the moment, so we're hoping that the right wing can save the box office, but at the same time, we want people to come and see the films to make money, because these things are damn expensive to make in the first place. OK, well, if I might, I'd like to pitch you after the show. I've had this idea about a TV presenter who's bald. And... well, that's a novel presentation, I must say.
It's called Hamasa Ding Dong.
Yes. Let's write it, Steve. Yeah, let's do it. Steve, what do you think here? I mean, the right actually has made a bit of a comeback at the box office anyway. You had the documentary last year. Am I racist? Let's not clip that bit. But that was the biggest selling, most popular documentary last year. You've had films about Jesus, not that means that they're right-wing or anything, but... do you think that there is this demand out there from the public?
Well, it seems to be. Look, the box office, this is what let the market forces do it. If the box office is there, if the people want to go and see it, then yeah, because, you know, fewer people are actually bothering to leave their house to see things these days. Part of that, it's not ideological, it's just streaming. We live in a world now where good quality pictures arrive in your room, so you don't really want to go out as much. I mean, look, I very much agree with the sentiment from episode 1 of South Park. I got around to watching it, and it was the woke thing went too far, but that doesn't mean go too far the other way. And I don't want to diss anti-woke media because it's the only place I'll get work. I mean, look at me, straight white, all the, you know, cis het, all those noises. I'm even right-handed. I belong to no minority. But if this is about getting more projects up there, so I totally agree with getting these films made. I'm against getting Colbert cancelled. Don't make less, make more.
Well, what I would like for Colbert to be funny. That's
well,
what I would have liked.
Let's not start promising things we all need to deliver on.
Have done his job. Jen, let's show a clip for you, so maybe some right-wing film producer might see you in action.
About time 16 and 17-year-olds had a voice, because, as you all know, when you are 16 and 17 years old, you make very good choices.
Really?
And I think that is one of the most important things to think about right now. Well, I'd tell them to think about all the fantastic things that we've been doing.
So, Jen, I mean, that was incredible acting. You were, of course, the person in the Union Jack jacket. Full transformation going on there.
I identified as a Reform MP. There you go. Yeah.
OK, well, we'll see what happens in the future with films. We're going to go to a little break now where I'm going to pitch you my idea. Next on Free Speech Nation, a British mom was visited twice by police and even referred to Prevent just for going on a trip to Israel. I'm going to be speaking to her about her ordeal in just 2 minutes. See you then.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Allergy practitioner Dr. Claire Anyamasigwe joins us now. Good to see you this morning.
Very good to be here.
Does the hot weather necessarily mean more pollen?
It does. It actually accelerates the issue. So you've got pollen from the trees, from the grass, you've got pollution, and now you've got the heat wave as well. So that concoction flares up the skin, especially around the nostrils. We're streaming, we're sniffling, we're itching our eyes. So for me, as an allergist, my practice is about advocating for plant-based antihistamines. So I think the prep starts the night before. You're washing the clothes that you've worn the night, during the day, so you're not bringing pollen into the home. You are eating quercetin-rich ingredients like leeks, garlic, kale. So you can make yourself a lovely soup. I would say use them together. If you are somebody that already eats quercetin-rich foods in your diet, you're doing a more plant-based diet, then you're ahead of the game. But if you're not and you've suddenly been hit this week, 26 Celsius is going higher every day. 16 million of us are suffering with hay fever. 3.4 million of that have hay fever and asthma. So for those sufferers, they're looking for a solution right now. I would combine the two. I would start changing my diet to match what I've suggested, and I would also do what your GP suggests.
Do any of these things, if you take them year in, year out, do they lessen do they have an impact over time and you become less reactive to pollen?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I'm really advocating for children. If we can get parents watching this to start children with natural raw honey, so find out about your local beekeepers, start spreading your natural jams.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. Now, a British mum was visited twice by police and even referred to Prevent just for going on a trip to Israel. Holly Passmore, a 43-year-old single mother from County Durham, was grilled about why she visited the country, who she went with, and if she felt safe. She'd been on a delegation organised by the Israeli embassy, not Hamas, and says she was gobsmacked by the accusations. Campaigners are calling the probe absurd. Since when is visiting an ally of Britain a radical act? Joining me now is the woman herself, Holly Passmore. Holly, welcome to the show. Now, Holly, I'm familiar with you. I'm familiar with your work, such as it is, which is, you know, you're an ally to Jewish people online. Your handle is @mummyIsTired, and you have tweeted about the injustices that you have seen over the last 2 years.
It's been horrendous.
Talk me through this. You went on a trip to Israel, you come home, what happens next?
I was trying to have a nap because my son doesn't sleep, and there was somebody at the door, and I thought, oh, it'll just be Amazon, I'll just leave it. But then they kept knocking and kept knocking. I thought, right, I'm going to have to go down. And there were 2 police officers there. They identified themselves. They were in plain clothes, and they said it was a safeguarding matter. So I thought, is it something to do with my son? And they said, you've recently been to Israel. And I said, well, my son didn't go to Israel. I left him with my mum and my daughter, who's 20. And they said, no, there's been a complaint made about you. And I just...
For going to Israel?
Yes. And I sat down on the step. I didn't let them in the house. I sat down on the step and they asked me what my links are to Israel, whether I planned on returning to Israel. And the whole thing, the whole context was Israel. And then I said that I'd gone with the embassy and they wanted a number for somebody at the embassy so they could contact them. But it was just preposterous. They asked me why I was interested in kind of Jewish issues, obviously because County Durham, it's not a Jewish area.
You're not Jewish?
No, I'm just human, and so are you.
Yeah.
So, they asked me if I'd ever visited Auschwitz. And I said yes.
Well, that's the most insane... A police...
I don't know if they see it as some kind of radical kind of ideology. I don't know what...
No, I mean, that seems to be the context, is that somehow visiting Auschwitz is part of the radicalisation. Starts with Auschwitz and it goes with you going to Israel.
You get onto the harder stuff and you go and have falafel.
And then they end up with bagels.
Yeah, that's the really hard stuff.
So they're asking you this, like... The tone, I guess, is you'd somehow done something wrong.
They were fine. They were fine. It was just so absurd, and I really didn't understand what was happening. So after they left, I contacted my friend at the embassy, and I said what had happened, and she said, are you sure they're real police? And I thought, well, maybe they're not. So I called the police force, and I said, is this definitely you that's come out? And they called me back about an hour and a half later and said it was them. So I thought, right, I'm going to have to complain. So I put in a subject access request to find out what the heck it was about. And I put in a complaint. And then David Collier, who you've mentioned in the show, he put a post on, saying it was absurd. And then Darren Grimes, because he's in my area, picked it up. And the police didn't seem to enjoy that very much, that it was on X, and they got in touch, and then I had the superintendent and the head of Prevent out.
The head of Prevent?
I think, well, if he was Prevent or if he was the head of the team that came out, because it was safeguarded, but he's associated with Prevent.
OK.
So, and they said that I'd been referred to Prevent. It was an anonymous referral while I was still in Israel, and because I got caught in the 12-day war, the beginning of that. They said that they had to look into it.
So, I mean, Prevent is an organisation set up...
For terrorists.
For terrorists, to stop radicalisation of particularly young people, but to stop the radicalisation leading Islamist terrorism.
It's usually young men between kind of, I think, 11 to 20, something like that. That's the age group.
So coming to a single mother because
43 years old with 2 children.
for visiting Israel.
Yeah.
Did they give you any kind of explanation?
There was no context. I mean, I've got autism, but it's not really associated with terrorist
Does that make you
activity.
vulnerable? Is that the idea?
Well, I suppose it could be. I mean, some people could be vulnerable to radicalisation.
Do you have any idea who actually did?
No idea. Absolutely no idea. And I don't know what information they gave, but I've certainly never done anything radical.
I mean, this is what's so scary, is that I'm imagining that there are mental people out there, frankly.
Malicious people.
Yeah, malicious people who will recommend you to prevent.
Yeah.
But when it actually goes to prevent, goes to the police.
They have to have meetings to
Yeah, they'd have to
it.
sort of go, OK, well, let's look at what the actual facts here. Is this a legitimate complaint or not?
So what profile could I possibly have
Well, this is
fit?
it, exactly. When they're talking this through, what is it that they would go, oh, well, this is worthy of us investigating further?
I mean, it's an insult, really. I mean, people like Axel Rudiger-Barner were referred to prevent.
I think three
times.
And
but I mean, that's the kind of level that you'd expect, not a mum that visited.
So have they taken this any further since?
No.
So what? So they came the second time to your home.
Yeah, and they said that, you know, clearly I'm not a terrorist.
That's nice. You should get a T-shirt made up.
Yeah, I'm not a terrorist. I didn't feel at all like the police were mean to me. I felt like the guy who worked for Prevent and the neighbourhoods or safeguarding team, I felt like he was really knowledgeable about anti-Semitism. I think the problem's probably higher up.
Yes, well, that seems to be what it indicates. Someone higher up.
They have to follow those processes.
Well, I don't think they do. I mean, they don't have to if it's an obviously malicious complaint, which it was.
Yeah.
So for them to actually follow through on it, that's
Maybe
what
just
seems
thought
massively
there was kind
problematic.
of an outlier in the Durham Dales.
I'm just saying, if they're coming to you, I mean, I've been to Israel a bunch of times. Do I need to be properly? Does anybody? I mean, Israel, of course, is an ally.
Well, that's the point as well. I don't know what a Jewish terrorist is or what a Zionist terrorist is. What is that? And what's happened in society to make them believe that Zionism's radical or can lead to terrorism? Because I've never seen anybody.
Well, this is it. I mean, Zionism...
you don't see Jewish people committing terrible terrorist
violence in that way.
Yeah.
I mean, all Zionism means is that you think that Jews have the right to self-determination in our ancestral homeland. That's in our indigenous homeland. That's all it... I know that word is twisted by anti-Semites, but that's the reality of all it is. And the far majority, 80% of British Jews are Zionists. I think only 6% say they wouldn't be. Does this mean that the Jewish community now needs to be sort of referred to Prevent?
I really don't have an answer to that. I don't know how they're thinking about it. I mean, we have looked, me and Nicole Lambert, we have looked at different articles, different publications, and it seems like they are trying to equate Zionism with right-wing extremism and, you know, that kind of...
Well, we saw the Trans Pride yesterday in London, and they had a big... They put out a sort of poster online, the social media post was like, no... we don't want any xenophobia or racism.
No, neither do I.
And then it says at the bottom, and no Zionists. And you're equating the worst of humanity with this very simple ideological position of decolonisation. That's what Zionism is.
It's just wrong. It's just wicked. And I'll keep advocating and I'll keep speaking out about it because it's all wrong.
Look, Holly, I'm sorry that this obviously happened to you. I hope that we can get to the bottom of this, that someone higher up can actually answer why this would happen, why you would have the police repeatedly coming to your door for the terrible crime of visiting Israel and speaking up for Jews.
Well, it was a wonderful trip and I'll return. I'll go back again and see more of the place.
All right, cool. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Holly. A Durham Constabulary spokeswoman said each Prevent referral is reviewed to determine whether further action is required, including, where appropriate, assessment to determine if there's an immediate security threat or whether a vulnerable person is a genuine risk to radicalisation. Next on Free Speech Nation, we'll be asking if Britain is turning into a surveillance state as police plan to launch an elite squad just to monitor your social media posts. See you in 2 minutes.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're holidaying across Europe at the moment, conditions are quite varied depending on where you're going. For Iberia, it's fine and settled with some warm sunshine. There were a few showers across parts of the Pyrenees. Some heavier showers and thunderstorms developing around the Alps and down through the Balkan regions as well. The heat wave that we've had across the eastern Mediterranean recently is beginning to ease, and so it's a touch fresher for Greece now, but parts of Turkey could hold on to the heat until later on next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. So Monday is looking a good deal brighter and warmer for many of us. There will still be a few showers around, but many of us will stay dry. And it's all courtesy of this large area of high pressure, the Azores high, ridging towards the UK on Monday. It doesn't last too long though. This frontal system will bring some rain once again by Tuesday. Back to Sunday evening though, and most of the showers are fading away, though some will continue overnight, particularly across the north and the west of Scotland, and some also moving into parts of northwest England on that northwesterly wind. Out towards the east and the south though, the best of the clear skies here, so temperatures in the countryside falling into the high single figures in places, and a bit cooler for many compared to recent nights. It does mean, though, underneath those clearer skies, it will be a much sunnier start to the day compared to Sunday across the east and the south of England in particular. So temperatures quite quickly lifting in that strong July sunshine. A fine day for most of England and Wales, just 1 or 2 isolated showers. A few more in the way of showers through the morning across northern and western parts of Scotland. And here, there is still a bit of a breeze coming in from the Atlantic, so a little bit cooler here. But as we go through the course of the day, cloud amounts will vary. Sunshine will come and go, but there will generally be a lot of dry weather on offer on Monday. A scattering of showers developing across England and Wales, but these mostly light and many places will stay dry. And generally in the best of sunshine, we could even see temperatures reaching highs of 24 or 25 Celsius across the south and the east, but certainly a warmer day nationwide and 18 to 20 degrees quite widely in the north of the UK too. For Tuesday, a cloudy and damp picture for many. Outbreaks of rain pushing northwest to southeast across the UK. A lot of low cloud, misty, murky conditions around the coast and over the higher ground. Some heavier showers developing perhaps later too. But generally an unsettled week to come. A mixture of sunshine and showers for many of us. But certainly those temperatures on the rise and feeling very warm and humid at times.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, you say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howie. Britain is sliding towards a surveillance state. The Home Office has launched a national police unit to monitor your social media posts, all under the guise of stopping anti-migrant unrest. Critics warn this Internet Intelligence Task Force could silence lawful opinions, chilling free speech in the name of safety. Labour says its public order is the focus, but many see it as Orwellian overreach. Nigel Farage calls it sinister. Is this really about crime or controlling what you think? Joining me now is legal officer from the Free Speech Union, Louis Maybe. Thank you very much for joining us. Louis, a sort of elite police task force out there reading our thoughts on social media. This is the definition of Orwellian, isn't it?
Yeah, I question how elite it is, actually, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But, I think the justification that they're trying to say, or at least comes from the Telegraph article, is that it's simply to try to gauge national feeling. So that if a riot is in the air, then they can say, well, someone in Dorset is angry, you know, let's go and get extra police officers there. But I think one of the big problems that we might encounter is something similar with COVID, which is how attached will this be to, say, a misinformation unit? How attached will it be to perhaps trying to police online speech? So another Lucy Connolly kind of case. Are they trawling through endless posts to try to find someone to prosecute? There are laws that are really quite broad that can... if the police wanted to, they could go into overdrive and try to prosecute a lot more people than we've seen. Well, we really wanted to.
I mean, this is what we see, of course. It's something that comes in with supposedly a good intent of, yes, stopping or being in place if there was a riot to break out. But we see the overreach, that pretty much every time this is what happens, is that actually it just goes way too far.
Yeah, and all the time there are justifications that sound fair enough, where you could nod along and say, oh, yeah, OK. But the problem is that the way that we deal with free speech, especially in the regime that we have using the ECHR, is to try to talk about balancing rights. And too often we encounter in the Free Speech Union a balancing that goes too far in the favour of restricting speech. So I'd be interested to see how it does develop. And in terms of gauging the national mood, there is a lot of anger right now, and perhaps that's quite justified, and to an extent that the government has been deliberately keeping secrets from the general public.
I guess there's an irony there, of course. They want to know what we're thinking, but they're hiding what was going on.
Right, exactly, and there is a bit of an Orwell thing going on there, where they can just close off. We didn't know about public spending, for instance. We didn't know the fact that so many people were being shipped into the country from Afghanistan and Pakistan. And they closed that down, and people online are increasingly getting angry. But the government seems to think that they want to know everything about you, what you're saying online, what you're doing online.
I mean, that's the danger, of course, that we see, is not just people maybe falsely being arrested, but if that sense of self-censorship spreads amongst the population, it leads to resentment. If you're not allowed to just vocalise or express these genuine concerns about illegal immigration, then it goes underground.
Right, and that's the problem. The internet's been this wide open space for quite a few years now, and it's had its flaws, let's say, but there's also been something quite positive about the way that people can share opinions. And if we suddenly decide that the police are going to look at everything that's being tweeted all the time to try to find material that's damaging, then people may well decide to not speak. And that's what we call in law a chilling effect. So people decide no longer to express possibly lawful opinions and just go quiet.
So this story has now come out now. There seems to be some pushback, but do you think the government are actually going to listen to it? Or is it already in effect?
I have absolutely no idea.
They're monitoring your tweets as we speak.
They're looking at my anonymous Twitter account and preparing the handcuffs for me, I think.
Yeah, it is arguably intimidating. When that gets married to the online safety bill that came finally from Friday, and already there are examples of news essentially being cut from the population. That is very, very concerning, because that was what we were promised wasn't going to happen. This was about protecting children, this was about pornography, but now we are seeing the civil population having to fight for information.
Right, so the way that this has worked is that these the checks have been introduced in order to try to verify if you're over 18 or not. And if you're under 18, then you can't see certain harmful content. And the harmful content isn't just pornography. The harmful content will also be stuff like bullying or racialized abuse or abuse towards protected characteristics. It's pretty broad. And then there are further categories which include just harm, which isn't particularly well defined. Ofcom also has these duties to try to define it, but I looked at their guidance today, and it was pretty broad. It didn't really define it well. So you've got this ill-defined idea about harm, as far as I can see it. And then, because not everyone on Twitter is verified, right? Lots of people like to be anonymous because they fear that the state or their employer might come down on them. And we see that all the time in the Free Speech Union. That means that they're not allowed to see certain kinds of content. And our case officer, or director of cases, went on Twitter the other day and noticed that an arrest during one of the recent protests against migration had been censored for him because he's not verified and they don't know his age on Twitter. So something that had a little bit of swearing and wasn't that bad particularly, that was blocked for him and lots of other people. A second one included a history Twitter account who tweeted about the Crusades, and that had been censored too. And then the third one was Katie Lamb speaking in Parliament, talking about grooming gangs. And I think that raised quite an interesting question in the third one, is that this woman is an MP who's raising pretty serious points about public policy. And this would have been blocked for the general population, but under 18s. And the government is deciding to give votes to 16-year-olds, right? So 16-year-olds can't see Katie Lamb speaking in Parliament online, so they can't vote with all the information that they necessarily need to come to a decision on which party they should go for.
I mean, do you think this is a problem that's going to get worse? Do you think this is just kind of teething problems as it comes into play? Well,
I think a lot of these online companies, so they're based abroad, right? Twitter is based abroad.
There are massive fines, by the way, if they don't comply.
It's 10% of global revenue. So for Twitter, that would be something like 250 million if Ofcom decided to do it. Of course, I think Donald Trump may well decide to castrate the UK. Or, I don't think that it would go down particularly well in America. But they've decided to try to comply at this point. And using AI, and being excessively cautious because they don't want to get on the wrong side of Ofcom, I think that they've gone quite far. Is it teething problems? I don't know. I think I'd imagine we'd probably still see quite excessive caution. And remember, there's all these other duties that are going to be coming in as well in the future, relating to illegal content online. So this is relating to children, but there are all these other adult duties that apply as well. And that includes removing content, for instance, stuff that goes against Section 127 of the Communications Act. And Section 127 includes grossly offensive messages, which is such a broad category of offence that I don't think social media companies will know what to do. They will have absolutely no idea how to apply it because the courts don't particularly have a solid line on what is and what isn't grossly offensive. They also include Article 10, a balancing test. This is all unclear.
And the thing that I think the most frustrating thing is that all the way through the process of the Online Safety Act, going through Parliament and being debated, we talked about it on this show. Everybody pointed out exactly these issues, and now they're coming into play. And after the whole time of being assured that there wouldn't be this kind of, as they talk about, this chilling effect, and that's exactly what we're seeing from day one.
Yeah, well, it's a good example of parliamentarians simply not listening to anyone, they're just going off on their own obsession, right? If you remember, shortly after David Amess died, an MP stood up and said, this is a reason why we should pass the Online Safety Act, despite the fact that the murder had absolutely nothing to do with online safety. So it's quite a strange obsession that they had in their heads at the time, that they were just obsessed with passing this thing.
They got their way, and now we're the ones who are going to pay the price. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. Louis Maybe from the Free Speech Union. Thank you. A Home Office spokesman said this new team to help police forces track real-time information and protect communities from incidents and emergencies before they escalate. As part of the government's plan for change, we're restoring visible neighbourhood policing focused on the public's priorities, including halving knife crime and violence against women, clamping down on theft and antisocial behaviour, and ensuring that people can feel safe in their own high streets. Next on Free Speech Nation, I'll be joined by Reverend Dr. Bernard Randall to discuss freedom of speech and fairness within the Church of England. See you in 2 minutes.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
On this day, 4 years ago, GB News was born, launching our first live broadcast on June the 13th, 2021. Let's take a look back at some of our earlier memories.
If you've just switched on, a very warm welcome to you. I am Alistair Stewart, and until 3 p.m. this afternoon, I'll be keeping you company, along with friends and, I hope, friendly guests. I hope you'd agree that we've had a strong hour of debate and discussion so far, but there's lots more still to come. GB News is all about you, our viewers. Any burning questions or stories that you think we need to cover, no matter how big or small, we really do want to hear from you.
Well, we can now speak with former GB News presenter Alistair Stewart. Alistair, thank you so much for joining me. Thinking back to 4 years ago, what did you think the channel's prospects were? Did you think it would be a success?
I did. Thank you so much for having me on, and a very happy birthday to you, one of the many brilliant faces, as we call it in the trade, presenting programmes, but also to the absolutely wonderful team of technicians that you've got behind you, making sure that this all gets on air very smoothly. And we've not only hung on in there, but we've now got GB News Radio as well. Online, we're huge. We get quite good numbers on viewing, very, very good numbers on listening, well ahead some of the other competitors. I do remember when Murdoch launched Talk, there were quite a few people in the newsroom who were nervous, not because they were so good, but because Murdoch had so much more money than we did. We've seen them off. They're virtually dead in the water now, and we are thriving, celebrating 4 years of triumphal and brilliant journalism.
GB News, the People's Channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howie. 6 years after sparking controversy with a sermon telling pupils they didn't have to accept LGBT ideology, Reverend Dr. Bernard Randall remains blacklisted by the Church of England. Once a respected chaplain and theology expert, he's now sidelined and branded a safeguarding risk. Despite no evidence or complaints against him, Randall says the Church is more concerned with appearances than true Christian values, punishing him for his beliefs, not misconduct. His case raises serious questions about freedom of speech and fairness within the Church, and how long will this injustice continue? Joining me now is the man himself, Chaplain Bernard Randall. I didn't know what to say. Was it Reverend, Chaplain, Bernard?
Any of the above, but Bernard is good. Yeah,
Bernard's
that's
fine. Well,
yeah.
Bernard, welcome. So you've been on the show before. This case has been going on for years now. Let's just do a little recap of where we've got to this present part of the story.
OK, 2019, so it's 6 years, over 6 years now. I gave the sermon in the school chapel, Church of England school, Church of England minister, Church of England act of worship, gave a sermon saying, in response to a pupil question, how come we're told we have to accept all this LGBT stuff in a Christian school? I basically said, you don't have to. You make up your own mind. So I explained you can believe the traditional Christian view on marriage. You can think that the idea of changing sex is impossible. Gender identity doesn't quite make sense.
So you're not even like telling it's not like going out to the kids and saying this is wrong. All you're saying is you're allowed to use critical thinking.
I explicitly said don't discriminate against anybody. No excuse for personal attacks or abuse. If you accept all the LGBT stuff, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to change your mind. But, and I repeated this about 6 times, respect the people you disagree with. Christian love means you don't have to agree, but you respect their sincerity. And that was the sort of radical message of think for yourself. turns out not to be acceptable in modern society.
No, and not acceptable at this school.
At this Church of England school, yeah, all appears for the Church of England, or parts of it. So I was reported to Prevent. Wow. Who somewhat surprisingly cleared me straight away.
Well, you didn't do anything really bad like go to Israel.
Well, yeah, quite. Reported to the safeguarding authorities, the local authority safeguarding. I ended up being reported to Disclosure and Barring Service. They both cleared me. I did get sacked by the school for gross misconduct, reinstated on appeal with conditions including censorship of all my sermons and not allowed to mention anything controversial anywhere ever. And then COVID came and I was made redundant, which I think was just a charade to get rid of this troublesome priest. Yeah. But what happened at some point is the Church of England's, the Diocese of Derby's safeguarding team got wind of this, and they have got an open safeguarding case against me. It would seem simply for teaching it's acceptable to hold the Church of England's teaching, which I know is a radical thing.
So that is what... So, yeah. I mean, this is it. So what is the Church of England's official teaching then?
Well, the official teaching is that marriage is properly only of a man and a woman, and there's a carve-out in the Same-Sex Marriage Act that allows all churches to hold those views. That the place for sexual intimacy is within marriage, and there's also a carve-out in the Marriage Act saying that clergy don't have to marry somebody in their acquired gender. So there's an option to believe or not believe. So yeah, fairly traditional stuff. And although the church is going through a process of discussing where it stands on sexuality and same-sex marriage and so on, the doctrine remains the same, and we're told it's not going to change in its official form, though pastoral accommodations or other things.
So I just want to stress here, because I think anybody sort of unfamiliar with the story or something might go, LGBT, this is a Christian preacher who's saying that gay people are bad or whatever. This isn't what you're talking about at all. We're not actually even talking really about homosexuality, are we? We're talking more about gender ideology.
Gender ideology, I think that's the thing that really got me in hot water, because I touched on that sort of sacred...
You don't want people from the church touching...
Yeah, well, sadly, you have to say that. But, I did give a positive account of Christian marriage, because I think it's fair enough to give young people an understanding of what marriage can be. If you only allow one viewpoint in schools, how are they to make up their own minds? But it seems that only that one progressive viewpoint on marriage and sexuality and be free and easy with your love seems to have been the only acceptable viewpoint, rather than contain yourself, understand who you are as a human being, and if you're going to be sexually intimate, let it be with somebody who is the one person in your life, rather than...
I think they call it monogamy.
I've heard of that.
I've heard of that. Yeah. Strange for someone from the church. No, I don't know why I'm saying that. I don't mean like you. I'm just saying it's strange that anyone would be pushing in this day and age.
But that's the thing, isn't it? It's this day and age, and where the church historically has been, have drifted such a long way apart. And I think, and I know I'm biased, I think the church's teaching is good and beneficial for individuals in society, but for society at large.
Well, any evidence has proven that a child with both parents, or two parents, I should say, it doesn't matter whether they're gay or lesbian or whatever, but two loving parents makes a huge impact to the outcome of the child. Absolutely. So marriage and monogamy does have a positive benefit on the child. There's nothing homophobic within that ideology. Now, saying that you think that a man can't become a woman and other parts of gender ideology, that's a very different thing. And to see that push within the church or any religious institution, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but I'm Jewish. And but in my synagogue, we have a similar thing where gender ideology was pushed on our children, and I had to go fighting that tooth and nail with the rabbi and with the synagogue's board, because I didn't think that this was an ideology that I wanted pushed onto my children. That doesn't make me a bigot. That just means I don't think that men can become women. I think there are only two sexes.
And I think that truth matters. Now, that's certainly at the heart of the Christian understanding of the world. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth and the life. Truth is at the centre of Christian understandings of everything. And doubtless in the Jewish tradition.
Yeah, we also
as well.
think Jesus is the guy.
But the importance of truth and integrity and honesty.
Of course.
And that's all I'm standing up for, is I want to say, you know, there is a truth. This is my understanding of it. And if you come along with me, great. If you want to disagree, great. Have a debate, have a discussion, but allow both sides to be aired, because that's how we get truth. That's how free speech works.
Of course.
You
That's
don't
how we
shut
arrive
down
at our
one
positions,
side.
by debating and arguing and respecting other positions. So let's just take it to today. This is, as you say, started 2019. It's ongoing. 6 years later, you go before the church, and what do they say? Oh, we're really sorry. You're right, actually. This is something we should debate about.
You might think, wouldn't you? But no. They did the whole safeguarding process. I pointed out they hadn't followed any of the rules of procedures. They botched it horribly, and I said, yeah, we'll go back to the start and do it again. A new process. They didn't actually go back to the start. They started in the middle. They didn't restart in the proper way. And recently had a meeting where they said, yeah, giving a sermon like this is harmful, and therefore you can't be allowed to minister without a risk assessment by a psychologist to check your thinking. I'm sorry, I don't accept that free speech is harmful. No. Attacking an individual on an individual basis, no. Just generally spreading ideas, good for us all.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much for joining us, telling us. I cannot believe it's still continuing. Hopefully I never see you again. Thank you very much, Bernard Randall. And thank you for joining us for Free Speech Nation. See you next week. Take care.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. So Monday is looking a good deal brighter and warmer for many of us. There will still be a few showers around, but many of us will stay dry. And it's all courtesy of this large area of high pressure, the Azores high, ridging towards the UK on Monday. It doesn't last too long though. This frontal system will bring some rain once again by Tuesday. Back to Sunday evening though, and most of the showers are fading away, though some will continue overnight, particularly across the north and the west of Scotland, and some also moving into parts of northwest England on that northwesterly wind. Out towards the east and the south though, the best of the clear skies here, so temperatures in the countryside falling into the high single figures in places, and a bit cooler for many compared to recent nights. It does mean, though, underneath those clearer skies, it will be a much sunnier start to the day compared to Sunday across the east and the south of England in particular. So temperatures quite quickly lifting in that strong July sunshine. A fine day for most of England and Wales, just one or two isolated showers. A few more in the way of showers through the morning across northern and western parts of Scotland. And here, there is still a bit of a breeze coming in from the Atlantic, so a little bit cooler here. But as we go through the course of the day, cloud amounts will vary. Sunshine will come and go, but there will generally be a lot of dry weather on offer on Monday. A scattering of showers developing across England and Wales, but these mostly light and many places will stay dry. And generally in the best of sunshine, we could even see temperatures reaching highs of 24 or 25 Celsius across the south and the east, but certainly a warmer day nationwide and 18 to 20 degrees quite widely in the north of the UK too. For Tuesday, a cloudy and damp picture for many. Outbreaks of rain pushing northwest to southeast across the UK. A lot of low cloud, misty, murky conditions around the coast and over the higher ground. Some heavier showers developing perhaps later too. But generally an unsettled week to come. A mixture of sunshine and showers for many of us. But certainly those temperatures on the rise and feeling very warm and humid at times.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can win big, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? The holiday of a lifetime? Or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? Lines close on the 1st of August, so make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. live. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, good evening. It's 9 p.m. I'm Ben Leo tonight.
You got a few minutes for a quick word?
Off you go. You're not welcome. You're not welcome.
Well, we're allowed in here, actually.
You're not welcome here.
Hi, guys. Oh, that's not very nice. We're just here to...
Get out of here! You're anti-fascista!
Well, surprise, surprise, I was made to feel pretty unwelcome by counter-protesters outside a migrant hotel in Epping today. Does their hypocrisy know no bounds? Also...
I think it's the biggest deal ever made. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Yes, there he is. President Trump agrees a trade deal with the EU up in Scotland. We'll bring you the latest lines from the president's trip north of the border. And we'll be joined by Reform UK's Zia Youssef as the leader of his party uncovers job adverts for Sharia law administrators, yes, Sharia law administrators, in British community centres. Plus...
I would love reconciliation with my family. I don't know how much longer my father has.
Royal Scoop getter Charlotte Griffiths lifts the lid on the bombshell peace offering Prince Harry has made, finally, to the royal family. On our panel tonight, it's Conservative councillor Matthew Goodwin-Freeman, political commentator Chloe Dobbs and the former editor of Labour List, Peter Edwards. And what do you reckon's going on here? Apologies to your eardrums in advance.
Okay.
Yeah, even I don't know what's going on there. Before we get stuck into the show, a huge congratulations to England women. Moments ago, the Lionesses beat Spain 3-1 on penalties to win Euro 2025. First, though, let's get your news update with Bethany Elsey.
Good evening. The latest headlines from the GB Newsroom. England's Lionesses have retained their European Championship title after a penalty shootout win over Spain. Supporters celebrated at fan zones across the country, standing on tables, waving flags and throwing drinks in the air as England claimed victory. Spain took the lead in the first half, but England came back in the second to make it 1-1. Chloe Kelly scored the winning spot kick after 2 huge saves from goalkeeper Hannah Hampton. And the Prince of Wales and Princess Charlotte have congratulated the squad, saying the nation couldn't be prouder of them. And the King has set the team a new goal, saying the next task is to bring home the World Cup in 2027, if you possibly can. Leaders of the United States and European Union have reached a landmark trade deal. EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen said it will bring stability while announcing 15% tariffs across the board. President Donald Trump revealed the EU is set to make $600 billion in US investments, and the EU is also set to buy $150 billion in US energy.
I think it's great that we made a deal today instead of playing games and maybe not making a deal at all. I think it's, I'm going to let you say, but I think it's the biggest deal ever made. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
We have a deal. We have a trade deal between the 2 largest economies in the world. And it's a big deal. It's a huge deal. It will bring stability. It will bring predictability. That's very important for our businesses on both sides of the Atlantic.
Humanitarian aid has been airdropped into Gaza for the first time in months, with Jordan and the United Arab Emirates providing 25 tons of aid between them. It comes amid growing international concern over the plight of the population. Thousands of Palestinians are at risk of malnutrition, with 85 children among those who've starved to death since the start of the conflict. This morning, Israel's military agreed to pause fighting and open humanitarian corridors to allow UN convoys carrying aid to enter. Several people have been killed after a passenger train derailed in southwest Germany. Police say around 100 people were on board when at least 2 carriages tipped off the tracks near the town of Reidlingen. Images show the carriages largely intact but jackknifed into each other and rolled onto their sides. And wildfires are raging across several countries in southeast Europe, fuelled by dry conditions, high winds and extremely hot temperatures. Around 150 fires have broken out across Greece, Turkey, Bulgaria and Albania, with thousands of people forced to evacuate. Forests have been scorched and homes burnt to the ground. A politician in Turkey has described the fires in the city of Bursa as an apocalypse. You're up to date. I hope you have a very good evening.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello, good evening to you. Another day, another protest. Protesters gathered near the Bell Hotel in Epping Forest in Essex, where, of course, a migrant staying at a local asylum hotel has been charged with an alleged sexual offence against a local schoolgirl. Concerned locals down there today, there they are on your screen, they want the hotel shut down, and they include worried mums and dads who fear for their kids' safety. But counter-protesters from Stand Up to Racism turned up today and said they were there to make their voices heard against alleged far-right groups who they say first organised the protests. The groups were kept apart today by police and fencers, and this was the scene from the side of the protesters who want the hotel shut down. I thought the choice of flags on display gave the best kind of idea what kind of people frequented which groups.
Distinct difference here between the two sides is if you look at the flags, you've got England flags, Union Jacks, you've got ladies in flags draped around them, lots of patriotism, and then on the flip side, if you spin over there, a stark contrast, you've got trans flags. Trans flags, there was a Palestine flag I saw a bit earlier, RMT Union banners. So if you want to see a visual difference of the two sides here, the protesters and the counter-protesters, just look at the flags.
Apologies there if you saw any hand gestures that you may have been offended by. Anyway, we then decided to make our way to the counter-protest pen used by Stand Up to Racism. That's where things got a little bit more frosty.
OK, we managed to get inside the pen. The police let us in with our press passes. Let's speak to this guy here. Excuse me. Hi. I liked your sign. You want a quick chat? What does your sign say, sir? Tear down borders. Let's tear down borders. Hi guys.